Hello, and welcome to the City Talk podcast, Common Sense Politics with Eyes on Orlando. I'm your host, Amanya Salas. And today we have a truly exceptional guest who's no stranger to the intricacies of local government and community politics. Joining us today is former Commissioner Mildred Fernandez, a visionary leader who has left an unforgettable mark in Orange County government. With a career dedicated to service, Commissioner Fernandez has been a guiding force in addressing critical issues, fostering growth, and advocating for positive change. As a former commissioner, Mildred Fernandez has deep-rooted understanding of the challenges and the opportunities that cities like Orlando face. Her insight into the city's evolution and her commitment to empowering communities make her a true beacon of inspiration. Throughout her tenure, Commissioner Fernandez has tirelessly worked to bridge the gap between government policies and the needs of the people. Her leadership has inspired transformative projects and promoted inclusivity with all community members and set a standard for community engagement. In today's episode, we have the privilege of delving into Orlando's political landscape alongside Commissioner Fernandez. We'll explore the legacy of Mayor Buddy Dyer, the pressure issues that demand attention, and the upcoming mayoral election that carries a promise of reshaping a city's future. With her extensive experience and commitment to the community, Commissioner Fernandez is the perfect guide to navigate these complex issues. Join us as we gain insight into the city's journey, discuss potential paths forward, and learn how informed civic engagement can drive meaningful change. So, listeners, get ready for an illuminating conversation with former Commissioner Mildred Fernandez. Stay tuned because this episode is not just about politics, it's about understanding the heart and soul of a city and how we, as a residents of that city, can make a lasting impact. So, topic of this conversation is Election Special, Retiring Dyer, the Future of Orlando's Politics, only on City Talk, Common Sense Politics with Eyes on Orlando. Welcome to the City Talk podcast. My name is Amanya, your host. The topic of conversation today is Retiring Dyer. Well, we would like to retire Dyer, but he is in for another election. This will be his sixth election that Buddy Dyer is running for. Over 20 years, 6 terms. I mean, dude, it's time to move on. It is time to move on. So the people in the community are talking about how do we implement term limits? How do you implement term limits? Well, that proposal was put in front of the city council just this week. Just 2 days ago, one of our constituents stood up and said to the council, "It is time for term limits." I'm going to play that clip for you so you can hear from the constituent himself. So, term limits were proposed. I don't think the commissioners and the mayor was too happy about it. He said, "We'll take it into consideration. We'll take it into consideration." Not even with that kind of energy. "We'll take it into consideration," is how that went, because I was in the room. So that is the topic of conversation today. And we're going to have the one and only Mildred Fernandez, former commissioner of Orange County, to give us some insight on what this would look like, this election coming up in November 7th, How can the people retire a machine? Who is running against this machine? Who has the option? Who has the guts? Does any of the city commissioners have the gumption to go against their boss? The machine, Buddy Dyer? I don't know. Well, let's take a peek into Mildred Fernandez's brain to see what thoughts that she has on this very important conversation. So let's stay tuned for that. Commissioner Mildred Fernandez, it is a pleasure to have you here with us today. I'm excited for this conversation, and I think you're going to bring a lot of value to the audience with your knowledge about politics, local politics, and give us just an idea about where you think Orlando is headed with the races, the election coming up in November with Mayor Buddy Dyer. So that's what we're talking about today. We would love to see Buddy Dyer retire, but unfortunately, he is definitely running for another term. This is going to be the sixth term, over 20 years. I mean, I'm going to let you take it there, Mildred, and you talk to us a little bit about Buddy Dyer and his 20-year plus reign and going again for another re-election term.
Well, first of all, you know that the mayor is an engineer, and he was born in the area of Kissimmee. So when he ran the first time, he ran as a professional. Of course, I think he's a civil engineer. So he understands planning, he understands where to site buildings. And then, of course, 20 years back, Orlando was not the Orlando that we see today. So the Orlando 20 years back was a different Orlando. I have been in Orange County for 30 years, and I have seen the change. So becoming a mayor at that time, population was very small. The issues were smaller. And then, of course, I understand that as a professional, he had a vision on where he wanted to take Orlando. As you know, in Orange County, the city of Orlando, it's one of the 13 cities under Orange County. So there's some development, big, like when we saw the event center that was Dr. Phillips, the Magic, and so forth. The cost of that had to come for a final approval to the county commissioner, and I was involved in that decision. So there's some decisions because of the amount of money that the final decision comes to Orange County, because Orange County, it's the big umbrella under those cities. Then, of course, you start seeing that when people, that's their first job, politics, they love it. And they want to stay and stay. And then they start knowing powerful people, especially 20 years back. The people that were in Orlando and in Orange County were the elites, where establishments start to form. And I learned during my 7 years in the county commissioner that these people knows them for hundreds of years. The families knows another family, and I call it the mafia.
The mafia.
Yeah, they know each other, and you do this for me, and I'm gonna do this other thing for you. That's the truth.
Yeah.
So as years passed by, more powerful he became, and it was about self-interest, economical interest, and political power. And it came to a point that he continued running, having all of these things in his mind. And it's very interesting because one of the things that I learned as a county commissioner is that sometimes the county mayor has disagreements with the Orlando mayor. And it's a political battle, you see?
Mm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that's how this thing grows and grows. And sometimes it's not about how important you are as a citizen, but my self interest. The issue why I don't like people in positions forever, it's that they become too powerful and they make of the position their way of living. I don't know if this is Mildred because I worked for IBM for 25 years. I come with a corporate mind. And in
Yes.
my corporate mind, when I was elected as a county commissioner, I set goals. And many, many, many times, these politicians, when they get elected, they don't have a vision. They don't understand how the game, it's a game.
It's a
It's
game.
played, it's played, and they think, and they become owners of the position. In my specific case, when I was elected, I had a goal in mind of the things that I wanted to accomplish because we're term limits. In the county, we, as part of the charter, which is the rules in the Orange County, the rule is you're going to be there for 8 years only. So I saw my district. I knew what I wanted to accomplish in those 2 terms. And that's what I was headed, you see? And everything that I did, different from the ones that are not term limits, is I only have 8 years to accomplish this. So, which are my priorities? When
Mm-hmm.
you are in a position that there are no term limits, you don't care. You
Mm-hmm.
don't care
Yeah.
because you're going to be there. As long as I get elected, I'm
For
going to be there and I'm going to make this money. And then you have to understand also that there are special favors.
hmm.
See, when you start helping developers for getting your communities that you have to help, then you start understanding how the game is played.
Yeah.
And one of the things that you're going to find is that the council has become to a position that they don't want term limits because they are in a comfort zone. It is such a comfort zone that these individuals, with all due respect, uh, they don't even look for reelection. It's a standard.
It's
And the
automatic.
people, it's automatic. We, the people, we get tired and we said, oh, this person is gone running for re-election. I'm not even going to vote. It doesn't matter if you're going to do a good job or not. When you look at the council in a session on a day, it's very different from the dynamics in the county commission.
Mm.
The mayor sets the agenda of what's going to be discussed. So it doesn't matter that you are a elected official on that board. Sometimes you have to swallow your vote, even you're against, and vote with the mayor. If you take a look at the council, those council people doesn't even voice issues. In the county, it's very dynamic.
Mm.
We could be, when I was seated in the county commission, we could be in a session until 3 o'clock in the morning
Wow.
because there were controversial developments. The commissioners, we were very vocal. We did our homework, and not always we will vote with the mayor. In the council, it's very different. It's this is what it's going to be decided. Any votes against, nobody says anything.
No
So,
pushback.
exactly. So,
They
what
just go along for the ride. No pushback.
exactly. Don't push back and don't try to criticize the mayor at that time because you're going to have problems, my friend.
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
Yes.
Hmm.
So,
Yes.
eh, what we are having right now is that the city, he has done great jobs in his time. We see big developments in the city, and he tries always to work. If he has to come to the county commission for votes, like it happened with the venues, he will meet with you and try to convince. He tried
Hmm.
to do that to me, but it didn't fly.
Oh,
Because,
do
oh man,
tell, Mildred. Do tell.
it was very interesting when we in the county there were we had to approve, not that we were going to approve the venues, Dr. Phillips, the Magic, and the big uh,
Oh,
thing that they have over
stadium,
there. It was the
Amway,
stadium.
the stadium.
Now, the Amway was one, the one that it's in the I-4. Those three event centers. What happened? There was an issue in the county that there was no budget for 5 gymnasiums. I knew that. I knew, and I wanted the gymnasiums. Why? Because I have poor kids that they will not be able to attend the magic game.
Hmm.
So, with my corporate mind, I start negotiating the 5 gymnasiums. So I never said how I was going to vote. I was criticized by the Orlando Sentinel. How come Commissioner Fernandez? It's not voting for the 5 venues, but I never said how I was going to vote. So one day, my aide says, Mayor Dyer wants to meet with you at the Bohemian, at the Grand Bohemian. And I look at my aide and I said, I don't negotiate in my enemy territory. I'm gonna go to a medium level territory.
Yeah.
So tell the mayor that I'm willing to sit with him to discuss the venues at University Boulevard, which was part city, part county. So I was there. And then the mayor said, Commissioner, I need your vote. And I said, Mayor, you're going to have my vote. Commissioner, what is holding you? Well, Mayor, I need 5 gymnasiums paid by the Orlando Magic. No taxpayers' money being used. So he said, Commissioner, can you have 2 gymnasiums in the city and one in the county? And I said, no, the 5 gymnasiums are going to be in the county. Commissioner, we have 4 gymnasiums? In the 2 in the city and 2 in the county. And I said, no, 5 gymnasiums in the county. No taxpayers' money has to be paid by the Magic. When he saw that he could not take it anymore with me, then he called the Alex Martin on the phone and said,
Mm.
Alex, can you meet with Commissioner Fernandez in her office on Monday? That was on a Friday. Monday comes and Alex Martin comes into my office. I will never forget his face. He said to me, Commissioner, I will never run against you. And I said, why? because you always get what you want. And I said,
Wonderful.
it's not about me, it's about the community.
Yes.
So this was my negotiation for those gymnasium. No taxpayers' money. The first gymnasium had to be built in my district, of course.
Of
And
course.
it can, of course. Then he said, Commissioner, those gymnasiums will be built in 5 years. And I said, no, those gymnasiums has to be completed in 36 months. I came up with all these questions, these things, because I was eager. I wanted to make sure that children were able, poor children, children that they cannot pay $60, $90 for a seat.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I got it. I got it. And those are the 5 gymnasiums that they are around the county. But it takes negotiation. And sometimes candidates doesn't know that. I bring that from my corporate experience, you see, and that's the difference.
Wow.
One of the things, as a matter of fact, you know that I ran for mayor of the
Yes,
county.
ma'am. Yeah, I know
And,
you ran for mayor.
yeah, and then one of the issue, because I first started walking Pine Hills, and Pine Hills thought that I was running against Mayor Dyer. And the
Oh,
community, because I was knocking doors. So the people in Pine Hills used to ask me, Commissioner, you're going to get rid of Buddy Dyer? And I said, not yet. Not yet, because I'm running for the county, which was an open seat at that time. But what takes us to have
yes.
people in positions for such a long time, it's the issue of term limits. We need to have term limits. We
Right.
need to educate the community that they have to vote, because it's all about your interest. And I was happy,
Yes.
and I do believe that the person that it's going to run, it's going to be an open seat. Now he is going to run. I'm sure he doesn't have any opposition. And if he has any opposition, you can rest assured that nothing is going to happen. He will be reelected.
Well,
But now you
y-
see a Mayor Dyer. I think he has health issues. And at the end of the day, he's going with a big, big pension.
yeah. So, the city commissioners meeting was this week, and I attended that meeting. And you're right, the mayor moved very slowly. There's no energy. I mean, he was just very low energy. And I was like, wow. And so, but he does have some competition. Some people have thrown their hats in the ring. Samuel Ings, who was
Uh-huh.
a commissioner,
I know.
and he did good terms in there. He was in there
Very
for
good.
quite some time.
He was a great commissioner.
Yeah. And he has taken on the Buddy Dyer machine a couple of times. He did it in 2019, I believe, and he didn't win.
Yeah.
He's done it twice, but now he's doing it a third time. He's trying to go up against this Buddy Dyer machine for a third time. I briefly looked over his website recently, and I'm not impressed, but if he was a great commissioner, maybe he can. But I don't even think that, the Dyer team thinks he's much of a contestant in all of this. It's just, oh, it's Samuel Ings running against us again. Oh, no, we're gonna crush him. He has no chance of, taking the seat. And there's a couple of other people there as well. Some names I don't even recognize, but there's about 7 people, I believe, that's running against Buddy Dyer. And what I find interesting is that there is no Republican candidate in this race either. Every last one of them are Democrats. There's no Republican candidate. What do you think about that?
Well, that's an issue that I have been saying for the past 15 years. And that it's taking a toll in the Republican Party, because we're not grooming people for the positions. And when I always think that that after a certain time you're not going to be as productive as you are, and you cannot become selfish, and you have to start grooming people for those positions. Unfortunately, in the last decade, I would say, the Republican Party has lost a lot in Orange County per se. If you look at the different position, a property appraiser, court of the clerk, even in Tallahassee, we don't win nothing, you see, because the strategy with the Democratic Party, it's incredible. And we have always thought that because we are Republicans, we're conservative, that everybody's gonna win. But people get tired as well. If we're not grooming, if we're not educating people for the positions, you're not gonna get it. It's exactly what's going on right now in the position of the mayor. You see all these candidates, but who knows them? What developer, what people with interest in the city, it's going to put $100,000 or do five fundraisers for that. All the money will go to Buddy Dyer again. And now the question is, what's going to happen after his term, because he's retiring? Who are we going to groom, or who is willing to look at the new issues that has been accumulating for the years, that Buddy Dyer just sat there and says, I'm going to be reelected again. I don't have to worry. We have in the city a big issue on homelessness.
Oh, yes.
We look like San Francisco. Oh my God, it's terrible.
It is terrible. And I'll tell you. Go ahead, Mildred. Go.
The issue with the crime, let me tell you, I don't drive downtown late in the night for nothing in the world, because I know that I'm at risk. So the people, the tourists, which will visit the Dr. Phillips, has to be scared. I'm very, very concerned with the crime, and I have read and see the different meetings going on, and I don't see that there is a vision, that there is no a in-depth homework on how to deal with the crime. It's a big, serious issues. Yes. And then, of course, a homelessness. As a county commissioner, I used to attend to a lot of the boards that deal with homelessness. And I don't see that we tackle the issue as we should. And that's the issue that the whole council is having.
Well, I agree with you, Mildred, because just over the weekend, I was downtown. I went to brunch at Dexter's. Food was great, place was great, but the problem that I encountered was that when we pulled up and it's at city, what is that place called? City Walk. It's a building, an apartment complex, and so on. And so driving up to the place, we had one homeless sleeping on this area, and as we were looking for a place to park the car, another homeless came over to us to find out, what are we looking for? Where do you need to park? And so on. And so, he directed us where to park. I'm like, this guy is valet. We've got valet out here in the streets, And so, and he came up and he showed us where to go. And then, of course, he asked us for money. And so we walk into the restaurant, and the owner comes out from the back. And she says, she tells him, no, you're not going to do this in here. And she got him out of the place. But my whole point is, it's a beautiful space, beautiful area. But the homeless folks that's down there I don't understand what's happening there. The city came in, they displaced them. And so, and actually a block up from where we were, like Terry Street, there's a area that has grass and trees or whatnot. Those folks have been camping right in that area. So it's a big problem when you're seeing this right downtown, businesses happening, and you're literally walking over the homeless to get into whatever business. How does the business people feel about that? What do you think about
Well,
that, the businesses?
now we need those businesses. Look what's going on right now. There's street that they have been stopped because they're building something, and there's some issues there in terms of what they are putting in order to do the construction. The issue is that population has grown, and they have not done a vision, except we need to build more buildings. That has been the vision. They have not taken into consideration the different issues that comes with growth. That it's, what are you going to do with the people that they don't have a shelter? What are you going to do with the businesses so that they can grow? You know that one of the things that the city approved is that the business owners, in order to be open until 2 o'clock, they have to have their own security. And that's not even enough. That's not even enough.
What an exciting conversation. Before we continue, here is a brief word from our sponsor. City Talk Podcast, Common Sense Politics, Eyes on Orlando. We are so proud to partner with the Orlando Patriot. Orlando Patriot is an online store, patriotic merchandise, everything you need, flags, t-shirts, hats, magnets, and more. They have wonderful patriotic merchandise to support all of your causes, where you can show off your patriotic spirit. So Orlando Patriot, they are currently offering 30% off on all merchandise, and the coupon code is City Talk. We are so proud to partner with businesses in the community, such as the Orlando Patriot. If you want to amplify your business voice on our program, please email us at citytalkpolitics@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. And for the Orlando Patriot, you can find them at orlandopatriot.com and get yourself 30% off on your purchase. Now let's get back to this very interesting conversation with Mildred Fernandez, former commissioner of Orange County.
That community has been, I know that Regina Hill, the council person, is trying, but you need the political power. She cannot do it by herself. You need the team together in order to do things for that. Pine Hills, per se, I used to work a lot with the chamber, with the people of the chamber, because I was always interested how we could grow, how they can feel that they are in a safe place. So the person that is going to be the next mayor has a lot of challenges, because even in the buildings that you are mentioning, I went to the inauguration when the 55 West was inaugurated. Remember, they invite the commission.
Yes.
So I was there. You know what's going on now in the parking lot? Homeless people are living there. And they, since they were not, because of the pandemic, they were not able to sell those apartments. They have leased the apartment or rent, one of the two. And the people living there now, it's not the quality of individuals that they were expecting to sell the apartments. That's a big issue. And with 55 West, we have the same problem with other. So there are a lot of issues in downtown.
Yeah. That 55 West, I was actually having a conversation recently from
Uh-huh.
with somebody, and they were telling me that the police is there constantly because of the homeless, people fighting, all kinds of, I mean, terrible. This was supposed to be a prestigious place, and now this is what it's turned out. So, and you're right, it's not just 55 West. We're seeing this all over the county. We're seeing it around the city, and it's just not a good look. And I don't know what Buddy Dyer is doing about that.
It, exactly what you said at the beginning. You saw him walking slowly. He is dragging. He knows that I don't even think he wants to run. It's just that he knows that there will be nobody else to do the kind of job that he was doing. He was doing because he's not doing it anymore.
Anymore.
And of course, no, not anymore. And the other thing is, eh, he has this power in order to continue staying, even though it's time. It was time last time. It's time for him to go. Yeah, it's very, very sad.
So I find it interesting that none of the commissioners, I mean, we've got Patty Sheehan, she's been there for like 20 years. The other ones have been there more than 15 years. The only two that hasn't been there that long is Regina Hill and Bakari Burns. And
Correct.
Bakari Burns took over Sam Ings's seat back in I think it was like maybe 2020 or 20, somewhere there.
Correct.
And he's just
Recently.
finishing up his term, and his seat is currently up for re-election right now. And I didn't do any research to see if anybody is running against him, but I do know we don't have any Republicans running against him currently. And so I find it interesting that these people are have been in the office for so long, but none of them are standing up and saying, you know what, I may want to challenge Buddy Dyer for the seat. They've all been in it for over 15 years. You would think that they might want to make a change and do something different, or take the helm and let Buddy Dyer, retire. But they're not doing that, you
No,
know?
because it's the culture that has been developed by Buddy Dyer through the years. You don't challenge me. And even if we have a candidate that we can consider, he's not, or her, I say he because I have spoken to some people, uh, they're not willing to say right now, I'm going to challenge. They're going to wait until he retires because it's the way the culture has been trained. I'm going to say trained. Look at the way the council runs and look how the county commissioner runs. Two different worlds.
Yeah.
I sometimes I said, why am I watching the council? Everything is going to be approved. And if it's not going to be approved, he's going to have the votes, the 4 votes he needs in order to be approved.
Yeah. So at the city council meeting the other day, it
Uh-huh.
was proposed to the council for term limits to be put in. And so we have a brave constituent who brought that up. And so the commissioners, their faces were blank. There was just no, like, what is this person talking about? Term limits. We're not looking at. And Buddy Dyer says, well, we'll give it some consideration. We'll give it consideration. But I like the point, and so it's term limits, but through the city council, which means, as opposed to going out there and getting a whole bunch of petitions, um, because you need more petitions to get term limits than you need to win the election. And so I was so curious to see, well, he says that the city council is able to, present that and put it out there in reference to that. So he was talking to the councils, Regina Hill, Bakari Burns, and Stewart, and all the rest of them, saying, you, the council, have the power to put it on the ballot, and we, the people, is asking you to do your job and to do just that, because it is time for this city to have term limits, because you all can't be in office for 20, 30 years like this. We need fresh blood to do the work of the people.
That was awesome. And I don't know what's the next. I mean, in Buddy Dyer's mind, most probably he's not gonna bring it as a issue, an item agenda in the agenda. What I would propose is to go back a group of people and insist in putting on the ballot. The other thing is that I would suggest, because that works very, very well, because they get very, very scared, it's to overflow the place. When you bring a lot of people to discuss an issue, all the council, in the case of the county commission, I remember my mayor asking me what's going on today. And I said, Mayor, didn't you read the agenda? We're going to be flow here. Everybody's coming. Because if there is an item, I always remember the item when we have dangerous dogs. Oh my gosh. Not only the county commission, we had to have another room. That's what we need to do in the city council, because they're not used to that.
Mm-hmm.
They're used to have and press upon that needs to come as an item agenda, to put it in the agenda, that there is discussion on the agenda. And I'm willing to go there. I didn't know you guys were there last week. We need to bring people to bring that issue.
Well, you're absolutely right. I remember when we did Axe the Tax last time. And do you remember Axe the Tax? They were looking to increase the taxes.
Yes.
And we stood up and
Yes.
we went there. We had a press conference. We had a whole lot of people there, and it passed. And they may think, the other day in the chamber, they thought, oh, look at these folks. Yeah, that's you keep dreaming. Listen, we defeated Jerry Demings and his increase in taxes with Axe the Tax. And if we're determined, we're going to get term limits done too. Just you wait
Absolutely.
and see.
And you have no idea of the hundreds of thousands that Jerry Deming spent preparing one of the most important engineers, making sure that she wrote everything. And he went through town hall meetings. And I looked at him the other day and I said, only 7 people were here discussing this issue and we won. Yeah, it's about the power of the people, not the power of the council. It's the power of the people. And we are in a stage that the people of Orlando, the constituents, the residents, they are sick and tired of seeing all these camps of people on the streets with drugs, sometimes abusing, and because they're sick, they have mental health issues. And the other issue is the crime. We don't want a San Francisco anymore. We cannot allow that to happen. So we need to work together as a community to make good things happen.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Sometimes I just can't believe that what we're seeing is actually happening here. And I look at all the different cities, like San Francisco, LA, Baltimore,
Exactly.
New York. Look at what's happening in New York City right now.
Yes, yes,
I mean,
yeah.
I don't want to go into another conversation. We could do that at a different one because I want to focus on Orlando. But all of these different things that's happening around the country, and you're seeing it. I mean, people are in camps everywhere. It's, I watched Buddy Dyer on an interview he did. It was on his website, and I watched it last night. And he was at some conference where they get all the mayors together in Washington D.C. And he
Uh-huh.
was talking about how it was wonderful because he gets to connect with other mayors, and he says we're all having the same problem: homelessness, um, affordable housing, shootings, and all of that. So what do we do as a country when you're telling us all the major cities are having the same problem? We need, and again, all of these major cities are run by Democrat, liberal, progressive mayors. That is the key to all of this: liberal, progressive mayors. And they are taking this country into the craps. And Orlando is just sitting there, and we're starting to see it little by little with these camps, with the homeless sleeping on the streets. I mean, people strung out on drugs, just laid out on the street like that. We're seeing it. And we've seen it in Boston. We've seen it in Baltimore. We've seen it in these other areas. But now we're seeing it here on our own grounds. And it's disgraceful.
And it doesn't mean that if it's happening in other cities or states, we have to allow it here. We don't. We don't have to allow it. But for that, we need the right people with the right vision and people that can listen to the constituents and can listen and have actions on that. And I hope and I pray that we can do it. But it's about
Yes.
working all together.
It is working together, and it's working with everybody in the system. When you go out there to Tallahassee, you got to get work done. So we need to be able to communicate with Democrats, Republicans, non-party, whoever. Everybody come together for the betterment of the country, for the betterment of the city, and for the betterment of our state. Because if we don't start to procure this, we could be looking at what's happening to New York and California and so on. And we don't want this here in Florida, We don't want this. So working together for the betterment of the community is what we need to do. It doesn't matter if you have a D, an R, or whatever you have behind your name. It's about being community-wise constituents and good community members.
Yes, and that's the vision. And we in that same line of thought, then we need to make sure that the candidates that we choose in order to make those things happen are the right candidates. And you know that because being involved in the things that you and I are, we know that we have to make sure that we get the best candidate.
Yes, the best candidate that's going to do a great job, and have the gumption to stand up for right. If you know something is wrong, don't vote for it because you're under pressure by, top leaders in your party or your top people in your, vote for what is right, what is good for the people. So that's
One
something
of the
we
things
do have to
that I have,
advocate for.
yeah,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
exactly. And we need to do the research on those candidates because you know that we have a lot of candidates that they say that they're Christian, and when they get elected, you know what happens.
Oh,
And
yeah.
this reminds me, my pastor, Daniel Green, he can talk about that the whole day. And it's very, very sad with what's going on in downtown. And he has been a person that has been here for all his life. And the see that what we see on these elected officials, we know that we have to make changes.
Yes. Well, Mildred, thank you so much for joining me here today. This conversation has been awesome, and I know you have so much more to give, but we'll have to get you back on so we can talk
Absolutely.
about more of these issues. So, wonderful conversation. I thank you so much for being a part of this. And we've got a lot of work to do in our community, and I know you're there. We're out there on the ground doing the work, and I'm excited about this podcast, um, City Talk, Common Sense Politics, Eyes on Orlando. We are laser focusing on this election, November 7th. So, audience, please be diligent about this. Know that there's an election. We have the mayor's seat. That's mayor seat is up. District 2, District 4, and District 6. We have
Yes.
all of these seats are up. 3 months for the election. We have to be aware of what's going on, so we can know, okay, it is time to vote. And we also have a special election that's happening as well in District 35, for the State House seat. So we've got a lot happening here in Orlando when it comes to politics, and it's going to be exciting things. But the people, you have to get out there. You have to tell your friends, tell your buddies, tell your neighbors, hey, we've got an election and it's going to affect us. And we are also looking for term limits, which is going to affect you too, because you need fresh people with new ideas to come in and rejuvenate the city so we can move forward as a community, as a city. So Mildred, thank you again. Talk to us about you and what you're doing and how people can help you.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for the invitation. I'm fascinated to share my experiences so that somebody else can learn from them. Right now, I am very much involved in helping a client with special needs children. And I'm fascinated with what I'm doing because one of the things that this client wants to do is vocational programs for special kids children that maybe in the schools it's not offered. And next week we're going to meet one of the farmers designer. They want to design an area of land where the children can grow plants, but they can grow the things that they eat. And that can be part of the vocational system that they want to, they have the vision. I'm working with some legislators because, of course, we need some funding. But I'm fascinated because I continue giving to the community what I like, my love, my passion, that I can see a better community.
Oh, Mildred, thank you. Thank you for that. That's wonderful. I pray everything works out with your client and you can make this become a fruition where you can have a facility, where you can have these children go and learn and grow and become productive members of the society, with their conditions and so on. So it's a wonderful thing, and I'm
Thank
I'm
you
I'm
so
grateful
much.
to hear that. Okay, so
Amen.
we're gonna
Thank
we're
you.
gonna
And
let
I
you
love you.
go.
I have enjoyed.
Well,
Thank you.
Mildred, you are the best, and I'm so thankful that you decided to come onto the program, and I look forward to it and seeing how everything go. Okay, so thank you. Oh, all right. Take care. Have a good one. Bye bye. Ah, ladies and gentlemen. That was the phenomenal Mildred Fernandez with gems and a little bit of insight into her history in Orange County. So, audience, I'd like for you all to participate. If you know any community members that you think that would benefit from this, please share this information with them. And if you know anybody who you think we should talk to, interview and highlight them, please, you can email citytalkpolitics@gmail.com with all of that information. And we are also looking to connect with our businesses in the community. You can use this platform to advertise your business and get people excited about what you do. So, Common Sense Politics, Eyes on Orlando, I say thank you, and please share, comment, and like. You can listen to us wherever you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple, Pandora, and so on. And of course, we have a YouTube channel where you can find the podcast, City Talk Podcast on YouTube. Thank you so much again for joining. And on the next episode, we will be having another great speaker. So we'll see you then.